my message is fairly simple. We can totally fix climate change. I mean, we can totally do this. You know, I kind of figured it out. I was in Hawaii, had my near-death experience, and I decided I was going to end the use of carbon-based fuel in Hawaii. And how do I do that? And yeah, I had no idea, absolutely no idea. I mean, I'm a computer game designer. What do I know about ending climate change? I didn't know any of the technologies. I didn't know anything about NGOs, nothing. But I said, I'm going to do this anyway. I remember I was being on a panel at some point, and I said, we're going to end the use of carbon-based fuel in Hawaii by 2045. And the guy sitting next to me said, I'm a professor at the University of Hawaii. This is what I study. There is no way we can go 100% by renewable energy by 2045. So I took the mic back and I said, well, I'm not as smart as that guy, so I'm going to do it anyway. And we are doing it anyway. And the reason that this guy said it's impossible is because he looked at history of how slow it was to change to get Hawaii to do anything. And if you look at the past and use that as the guide, then you will think, oh, it's impossible for us to change because change happens very slowly. But we know that change happens very quickly when we want it to happen. You know, like we went from no portable phones to cell phones, and then we went from cell phones to smartphones. That happened fast. I mean, it happened super fast. I went to Madagascar, and we went into far back country, and there's a little town. In this little town, I mean, it was dirt. There was a little store with like minimum stuff. And what did they sell in there? Prepaid cards. Prepaid card, which means that everybody in this little town in the middle of nowhere had a phone. And they made it work somehow. People somehow have phone. If you need a phone, everybody has a phone. Well, it's the same thing with renewable energy. If it's something that everybody needs, and eventually everybody's going to need energy, and we're still full of places in the world where people don't even have energy. And renewable energy like solar can be tiny. It can be enough to charge your phone, and that's already a big deal for a lot of people in the world. Well, anyway, what I learned in Hawaii is that we could change the people of Hawaii, their minds from it's impossible to, of course, we are doing this. That is the change that we achieved in Hawaii. And we achieved it, by the way, how do we get to the people? How do we get to the politicians? The politicians wouldn't listen to us unless we convinced the people. And the people wouldn't listen to us until we convinced their children. We had 300,000, we had children, elementary school children, go door to door and exchange 300,000 light bulbs. And then in so doing, there's a conversation between a child and an adult about saving money by saving energy and how it helps reduce climate change. I mean, that's the conversation. Can you please stop using that much electricity? Or can you please help us get Hawaii off of fossil fuel? That was the conversation. It was children that got us to stop smoking. All the warning labels on the packages on the cigarettes, this stuff is going to kill you if you do it, didn't stop us from smoking. But it's when they had a campaign, you know, children asking their parents, please stop smoking, I don't want you to die. I was driving my car and I listened to a public service announcement, and it was a little boy, and he's saying, my parents were in a car accident last year. They told me that if they had been wearing their seatbelts, they wouldn't have died. Today, I live with my grandparents. When you die, who are your children going to live with? That was the message. I have worn a seatbelt ever since. I could not imagine my children living with anybody else. Well, anyway, that's what I'm trying to say, is the children got us to the people got us to the politicians. But at the end of the day, once we passed the law, we were the first state in the country to have a mandate. 15 other states came out of nowhere, and they copied our legislation, did the same thing. California, 2 years later, 100% by 2045. I mean, like, we went from Hawaii to California. If I'd have started in California, that would have been a huge lift. But now that we've already done it in one place, in Hawaii, and the other states look at it and say, yeah, if they can do it, we can do it. And California did it. Washington said, no, we're not going to lose to the Californians. And they said, we're going to do it by 2040. And that's a good competition to have. And so today, 51% of the people in the United States live in a state that's going to go 100% renewable energy. And in Hawaii, the biggest use of carbon-based fuel is renewable energy, or is electricity. So we went from the time that we passed our legislation to today. We're at 36% renewable energy, 36%. And did Hawaii spend a lot of money? They did not. All they did was pass a law saying that we're going to do this, and then the electric company said, oh my goodness, we have to do this. And then they told their engineers, figure it out. It's the first time the engineers actually had to figure it out. And they came 6 months later and said, oh, we figured it out. We can actually do this by 2040. Where have you guys been? They didn't do this voluntarily. They were told to do it by the government. And then finally, they figured it out. And then we changed the business model of the utility so they make more money by switching. Guess who's our best friend now? I probably said that this morning already. But I mean, the electric company went from it's impossible to, of course we're doing this. And it can be the electric company in your island or in your jurisdiction, wherever that is. And it can be all of the electric companies in the entire world. And once we've done that, we will solve climate change. That's just one way. That's the biggest one. Number two in Hawaii is ground transportation. It's kind of already happening because of electric vehicles. They're so much better than internal combustion that I can see a future where every car is going to be electric. That leaves air travel. So, and I don't know how to fix that, but there's a lot of people that are trying to figure it out right now. So what are the things that are causing climate change? We go after the biggest one, we fix that one. Then we find what's the next biggest one, we go after that one. But at least we know that we can change. We can make that change happen. And in general, people ask me if I have hope. And my answer is no, I do not have hope. I have determination. Because we're totally going to fix climate change and everything else that's wrong with the world. This is just something that it's a decision, and then we all have to get behind that decision. So thank you very much, Matt. Put on a great conference. I really enjoyed being here, and thank you all for coming.